This utilitarian schoolroom has seen the beginning of a great many African American lives in the city of North Augusta. It has also seen the respectable and dignified end to a great many lives as well. This is the story of the Society Building. A German immigrant by the name of Henry Schultz established the town of Hamburg on the South Carolina side of the Savannah River, opposite Augusta, in the 1820s. He built the first successful bridge across the Savannah River and began to make a lot of money from the bridge and the traffic across the river. He also helped establish the first railroad in America, running from the town of Hamburg 135 miles down to Charleston. In 1865, as the Civil War came to a close, a great many of the freed, enslaved Africans and African Americans in the area moved from plantations and potteries in Edgefield into the town of Hamburg. They established a viable community, created a militia, and were very rapidly attacked by whites in the area who felt threatened, with the result that there was a nationally noted massacre of African Americans in the town of Hamburg, a fact which is noted today in several monuments around the town. As the 19th century came to a close, the young men living in Hamburg created what is known as the Young Men's Union Association. This was essentially a burial society, a respectful and dignified burial. It was very important to everybody, and especially in the African American culture. And they wanted to ensure that indigent residents of the town that could not afford a burial would be able to have one through funds raised by the Young Men's Union Association. They built a meeting house. This was a wooden structure built down in Hamburg, and in 1928 there was a major flood that pretty much destroyed the entire town. The society building, as they called it, was damaged, and the association, the Young Men's Union Association, disassembled the remains of the building, brought it back up onto the bluff to an area called Carsville, wired the wood, and dried it in the sun so that it would not warp. And when they had dry lumber, they used that lumber to rebuild their building at the corner of Boylan and Barton in North Augusta and the area which is called Carsville. That building became a local schoolhouse and was used as a schoolhouse for 2 grades for a great many years. It also, of course, housed the Young Men's Union Association. It also housed the Simmons Lodge number 571, which was an African American Masonic lodge. In the 1950s, the Young Men's Union Association appears to have become pretty much defunct. And the Masonic Lodge also was not that active in later decades. The building began to decay. Some work was done, sheathing and tar paper was put on it to try and protect it from the elements. But by 2016, the roof was damaged, water was damaging the interior, the siding was severely weather eroded, and weather was encroaching on the interior of the building. And it looked as if at that point that the building would be destroyed within 2 to 5 years. At the same time, in 2016, the residents of North Augusta created Historic North Augusta. This was a registered non-profit organization dedicated to the preservation of historic buildings in North Augusta. There are over 200 historic buildings in the town of North Augusta, but very little has been done to acknowledge the existence or the preservation of those buildings and the districts in which they exist. The Heritage Council of North Augusta brought the state of decay of the Society building to the attention of Historic North Augusta, and the organization decided that that would be its first major project in the city. Efforts were made to raise funds, and the most important initial donation came from the Ford Funeral Home in North Augusta. They recognized the burial society nature of the Young Men's Union Association and felt that it would be a good fit for them to support. They provided a substantial grant for a new roof on the building. Brighter Side Roofing, an African-American roofing company in North Augusta, then stepped in to install the roof and do the entire job at cost. So these are two very important contributions that immediately saved the building from further decay because we had a good roof. At that point, the citizens of the town came together, African American and white, and began to provide funds for siding. And members of the Historic North Augusta organization then began to peel off the old siding and coverings and re-insulate the building and start to add new siding. Also, there were 22 windows in the building, and every single one of them was damaged, decayed, or even not present. Citizens also donated funds for new windows, and in less than 9 months, $250 per window was donated for 22 windows, and then Historic North Augusta matched that with an additional $250 used in labor and materials to install each of those windows. And again, members of the community, both black and white, came together to actually do the work and install the windows. As we stand now, all of the windows have been installed. The very last pieces of siding are about to be put on the building, after which it will be sealed, caulked, painted, and new doors will be installed, and the building will once again become a part of the life of the North Augusta community. In fact, it already has. One organization, the newly formed Constitution Party in North Augusta, held its inaugural meeting in the Society building, which they felt was an ideal place given their platform. And they held a meeting, packed the building, and it was really good to see the building at that point begin to take a role in the life of the community yet again. A great many students came from that classroom in the 1950s. It was closed when there was integration of schools in North Augusta. A lot of those students are still in the community. Some of them come by to look at the building and reminisce with us about their life as students. Some of them have donated money for windows. In fact, Miss Clara Lambach, one of the students, was at one time the executive secretary to the Baptist minister at the National Cathedral in Washington. She donated a window, and in each case, when a window's been donated, a brass plaque with the name of the donor is placed on the new sill. So the building becomes not only a preserved remnant of Hamburg history and North Augusta history, but will also go on into the future as a symbol of this community's interest, concern, and desire to preserve its history.